When working on the edge, you oftentimes want to have standalone intelligence that's going to be out there that's easy to use. And you guys are targeting that space. Could you tell us a little bit about the company and what we're going to be looking at?
Sure. So you might not be able to see this, but this is actually a useful sensor. So what we've built is what we call a person sensor. In its simplest form, that's got one pin that goes high when there's a person around. So it's very much like a PIR sensor, except it will never switch off when you're alone, not moving in a boardroom. So you won't have to wave your hands, and it won't be triggered by animals or trees moving like PIR sensors are. But it also has an I2C interface, so you can get information about where people are, whether they're looking at the device, and even do things like facial recognition. All in this completely standalone, very private, I2C enabled package.
Oh, very good. Let's take a closer look at that.
This is our Philips Hue lighting demo, where we're actually showing how you can use a combination of a person sensor to tell if you're looking at the device with our speech sensor to do natural language processing to give the device commands. But it will only listen when you're actually looking at it. Turn on. Go purple. Make it dimmer. Next to it, we actually have this face-following fan, which uses our person sensor again to figure out where my face is and make sure that I'm always getting cool air being blown in my direction. You can see this speech recognition demo. And it shows that it's actually able to transcribe natural language, any sentences you want to give, using our speech sensor.
So those are some neat applications. If people want to take advantage of this, how do they do that?
So at the moment, you can actually buy the person sensor that we released back in October, the V1, on DigiKey or SparkFun in the US.
Excellent.
And you should be able to also buy a bunch of our newer sensors very soon on RS Components.
Okay. Now, using the modules is obviously a very quick way of getting started, and for many applications, it's going to be one that they can utilize the modules directly. Do you work with customers that have more specialized requirements?
So, because we're really trying to reach very large volumes with our sensors, we try and identify places where we can solve the problem once and then use it across a whole bunch of different applications. So things like person detection, things like speech to text, things like gestures. We do have very good relationships with companies like Edge Impulse, though, who do a lot of really good work around helping you design your own custom models for your own particular problems.
So what are some of the challenges you ran into in actually getting something this small?
So I'm a software person, and luckily I've got some fantastic hardware engineers on my team, but it's amazing how hard hardware is. So even just things like lead times in getting tiny components, the supply chain problems, the fact that it can take months just to get a few thousand of something manufactured, and trying to figure out how to optimize cost. These were all challenges that I'd never faced before as a software person. So hats off to everybody who's bread and butter that is, who does that day in, day out. That was a real learning experience for me.
Okay. How about on the artificial intelligence side? What are the challenges that you ran into in getting into such a small, low-power package?
So, luckily, our team has actually spent several years largely at Google and other big companies doing this professionally. So we have a lot of experience taking models and really squeezing them down to fit into the constraints of microcontrollers. So honestly, the AI side was the easy bit.
Because you've already done it.
I've done that before. So it was everything else that was incredibly hard.
So this is something that everybody might sort of call tiny ML. It's not really a package you can buy, but it's sort of a state or a,
Yes,
target you're looking at.
Exactly. And I came up with the term TinyML about 5 years ago and wrote the TinyML O'Reilly book. And it's been fantastic to see that community grow. There's been so many really interesting use cases of TinyML. But what this all really grew out of, and why I left Google, was because I wanted to make it easier for anybody, even if they didn't want to deal with machine learning, to benefit from being able to use ML in these tiny embedded packages.
One of the advantages you have of your system is that it is completely standalone. It's not dependent upon the cloud. That has all sorts of implications in terms of security and privacy.
It does. It means that, for instance, we can offer a lot of guarantees about not being able to, nobody malicious, even if you don't trust the device manufacturer who uses this, they can't access the raw image data. And as well as security and privacy, it also offers a lot of advantages around things like power usage and latency. We can respond a lot faster, and we can actually use less power than if you have to have a radio on streaming data all the time.